Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is an English translation of the Majlis of Hazrat Maulana QAMAR Sahib Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Sunday morning at Baitul Azkar in Wasiabad, Allahabad, UP, India. Sunday, the 7th of Zulqa'dah, 1444, corresponding with the English date, 28th of May, 2023. Hazrat Wala is saying that Surkhi Qaim Kiya, that there is a subheading here or a heading which reads Salihin ki Musahabat, the companionship of the pious. Now, it is quite apparent and obvious that we are here sitting in the company of the Salihin. There are so many Salihin sitting here in this majma, in this gathering, in this mahfil, in this majlis. Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu attaqullah wa kunu ma'as sadiqeen. O people of Iman, fear Allah and stay with the truthful. In another ayat, Allah Ta'ala says, Wa'mur ahlaka bis salati wastabir alayha. Command your family with salat and you yourself be firm on it. Not this year that you're telling them to do something, but yourself, you've got nothing to do with it. So long as a father, so long as the parent, so long as the senior is not sharik, is not part and parcel of that particular amal, there will be no ranak, there will be no glow, there will be no nur, there will be no beauty there. وَأْمُرْ أَهْلَكَ بِالصَّلَاةِ وَاسْطَبِرْ عَلَيْهَا. Hazrat Qari Tayyib Sahib has mentioned an incident of a child in a maktab madrasa where the father used to take him every day, drop him off and leave. But he could not even tolerate to stay there for 1 moment or 1 minute, the father, just drop him and leave. After some time, the child now wants to leave, and on inquiring that, listen, what is it? The child says that I don't want to be placed in such a place which my father doesn't like and cannot tolerate. Rather, put me in a place where my father would also like to be. In fact, I am actually thinking now, an Arab alim, Ghaliban, probably has written this particular waqiat, that he would not even come inside. He would not even come to ask this or that or the other. Just stop, drop the child and go. Here we saying, وَاسْطَبِرْ عَلَيْهَا وَأْمُرْ أَهْلَكَ بِالصَّلَاةِ وَاسْطَبِرْ عَلَيْهَا. This wastabir is ziyadati lafz, ziyadati ma'na par dal hai. The more the letters are in the word, it increases the gravity of the meaning of that particular word. That he commands his family, command your family to perform salat, and you yourself be most firm on it. Make dua kijiye. Hazrat Wala is saying that we ourselves are firm on salat. Alhamdulillah, with the assistance of two. I go in my pain, I go and I read my salat in congregation. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib had this darde kulan, this severe pain in the stomach. But then too, he would go. He would never abandon this congregational salat in the masjid. Rather, he would even take, in the old days, that angeti, in which they would put coal, etc. He would hold that there in the winter months, and this way and that way, but he would go for his congregational salat. Jahan tak ho sake, azimat par amal. As far as possible, you will make amal on the azimat, read your salat in congregation in the masjid. Rukhsat to rukhsat hai. The rukhsat and the leeway, that's in its place. But as far as you can, read your salat in the masjid. Here you may not able to understand it, but there on that side, most definitely you will able to understand how great it is. Hazrat Wala also then goes to another topic there quickly, Quran Kareem ki Ta'aleem, and he goes on to say, reading from the kitab, that Abdul Rahman Sulami, who was a mashhur tabi'i, although he had achieved a very, very high level in knowledge of deen and in tafsir, he was a great bearer of that knowledge. However, his entire life he spent in Jama Masjid teaching the Quran Majid. And for 40 long years, 40 साल तक लोगों को कुरान करीम हिफ्ज, नाजरा, tajweed और किरात, he taught the people hifz by hearting the Quran, nazira, looking inside and reading, basic laws of tajweed and good recitation. Somebody asked him about this. I mean, that's your caliber, that's your stature, that is, I mean, you are a great bearer of the great ulum of Quran, tafsir, etc. But you have chose this path here, teaching hifz, nazara, tajweed, kirat, etc. in this Jame Masjid here in Kufa. So, on that inquiry, Abu Abdul Rahman as-Sulami then answers by saying that I heard Hazrat Uthman radiyallahu ta'ala an saying, خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ وَعَلَّمَهُ. The best from amongst you is the one who learns the Quran and teaches the Quran. This particular hadith has seated me here for the last 40 years in the Jama Masjid in Kufa. The next title there is Behtareen Hazrat, the best of people. The hadith there is quoted from Jami al-Saghir, خِيَارُكُمْ مَنْ ذَكَّرَكُمْ بِاللَّهِ رُؤْيَتُهُ وَزَادَ فِي عَمَلِكُمْ مَنْطِقُهُ وَرَغَبَكُمْ فِي الْآخِرَةِ عَمَلُهُ. The best from amongst you is the one who by merely his sight, meaning seeing him, the best from amongst you is that an individual that by seeing him, it reminds you of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allahu Akbar. And his speech increases you in knowledge, and his amal, in his deeds, encourages you towards the akhirat, encourages you towards the akhirat. Now, Hazrat Wala now is remarking and saying, telling us here that the greatest alamat for a person who's trying to see that I want to strike up a relationship with certain person, this year, which is mentioned in this particular hadith, is the greatest sign and alamat for it. Meaning, by merely looking at that person, he will remind you of Allah. By just casting your glance on him, he is going to remind you of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Today we learn poems, but we can't learn one hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. خِيَارُكُمْ مَنْ ذَكَّرَكُمْ بِاللَّهِ رُؤْيَتُهُ وَزَادَ فِي عَمَلِكُمْ مَنْطِقُهُ وَرَغَبَكُمْ فِي الْآخِرَةِ عَمَلُهُ. Al-Hakim an Ibn Amr. Okay. Hazrat Maulana Ali Miya Sahab, in his home, his mother taught him the ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam from this very young age. Also, bring such a daughter-in-law in the home that will be able to give ta'lim. Bring such a wife in the home that will be able to give ta'lim. This is the intizam and this is the order that we should keep. Now listen. This is the faisla, this is the decision of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that if you are looking for someone who you would want to strike up a relationship and sit with him in his company, then what are the signs? The decision of that, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is giving us, that by merely looking at him, he will remind you of Allah. His speech will increase you in knowledge, and his amal would encourage you towards the akhirat. Much has been encapsulated in this bayaz and personal diary of mine. I say to Abdullah that he must collect them and he must get them printed. It is a collection of those things that impressed me over the past 50 years. It can go up to 10 volumes. I'll tell you about the incident of a king, that they brought people in front of him and they said that these are these criminals. Then he said, if these people are criminals, then do me a favor, execute me first. Execute me first. Because when I look at their faces, I see nothing but honor, dignity and nobility, piety in their faces. Now all of that, his decision there of not executing them, not punishing them, not putting any penalty on them, was by merely casting a glance at their faces. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib's Ustad was imprisoned and he was going to be exiled. And when the British caught hold of him and this whole process was taking place where he was going to be imprisoned for that time and then after that exiled, when they looked at his face, they first asked him, the British, what do you do? So he said, I teach Quran, hifz of the Quran. So they said, most definitely, your face tells us that. And they said amongst themselves and came to this type of decision that he will not be treated like the rest of the people would be treated, meaning that he will be conveyed and put to his appointed, designated destination in a most honorable way. Allah Ta'ala also illuminate our hearts and our faces. Here we're reading about that. So we ask Allah that you illuminate our face and our hearts. Hazrat Wala also quotes an incident of this person in the workshop where he picks up his hammer or that tool and is about now to smash it down on the steel or the nail or the wood that he is busy with there, whatever it was. And at that time azan went. Immediately he doesn't even follow through. He puts down the hammer and he goes and he answers the caller of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He goes for the salat. Now who was that? That was no one else other than Allah Wala, a man of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Salihin ke musahabat, the companionship of a pious. وَقَدْ جُبِلَتِ الْقُلُوبِ عَلَى حُبِّ تَقْلِيدِ الصَّالِحِينَ. The hearts have been made, the nature of the heart has been made strong on this. The nature of the hearts of people has been based on this, that on the love of following pious people and their lives and their ways and the way they carry themselves. And upon being inclined towards them, following them, their a'mal, their aqwal in every way. فَلِذَا, therefore, you have noted and you have seen me, أَوْرَدْتُ فِي تَعْلِيقَاتِ, in my ta'liqat, in my footnotes here, I have mentioned much about the aqwal and the waqi'at of the ulama, the salihin, the abidin, the mujahideen, the zuhad and the sabirin. Carrying on further, there's another rather couplets that are mentioned there. وَتَشَبَّهُوا إِن لَمْ تَكُونُوا مِثْلَهُمْ. Copy them if you cannot be just like them. Imitate them if you can just not be like them. إِنَّ التَّشَبُّهَ بِالْكِرَامِ فَلَاحُ. Because imitating, copying, trying to be like the noble is most definitely success. Okay. So the mujalasat, sitting in the companionship of the salihin, listening to what they have to say and reading about their incidents, their sirat, etc., is from amongst the great goals and maqsads of of life according to intelligent people and the pious people. So the dunya cannot be made beloved for any intelligent person, only for this reason, so that his sifat can come to a fruition and completion, and his hasanat and good can increase, and so that he can gather up more provisions for the akhirat. And it is regarding this very same point that يقول سيدنا عمر ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala an, that Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala an has mentioned, لولا ثلاث في الدنيا لما أحببت البقاء فيها. If it was not for three, I would have not desired to have remained in the dunya. The one is لولا أن أحمل أو أجهز جيشا في سبيل الله. The one was, the reason that I wish to remain in the dunya is only and solely so that I can head an army, or I can prepare an army in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if it was not for undertaking the difficulty of the night, وَلَوْلَا مُكَابَدَةُ اللَّيْلِ, if it was not for that, يعني قيام الليل والعبادة فيه من جزيل الثواب, because in standing up at night and carrying out ibadat at night, there is great and much reward. There is much reward. There is much reward. And the third one there, if it was not for the mujalasa, the companionship of a people, we're speaking of this pious saintly people, who select and they choose this most atayibil kalam, this most beautiful kalam. You know, you sit in the majalis of these pious people and they throw out and they scatter these pearls to you. So just like how these masters and professionals in the date markets choose the best of kajur for the A grade and for this grade and that grade, just like that, if it was not for sitting in amongst such people who choose this type of kalam and spread it on to us, I would have not wished to have stayed here in this dunya. You know, we had a waqia here with the madrasa. Nevertheless, people, such type of things, allegations, this, that, and the other. Nevertheless, when the appointed date came and the representatives went to the court, and at that time there, because it was regarding the madrasa, students went as well. When the judge seen these students, and when the opposition laid his claim saying that these people are criminals, there and then, are we talking about our own incident that has taken place here? There and then, in the court there, the judge said, this is impossible. It is impossible for these people whose faces I am looking at, for them to be criminals. He dismissed this case and rather he ruled in the favor of those students who came there. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab once became very, very ill, and it was as if it was his last and final moments. And then after that he recovered fully and completely. And then he said to us, I thought it my last moments, and I made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give me some type of respite so that I can get ready, because I was not yet ready. I was not yet ready. Allahu Akbar. Kara hai kaun, zara dekh sirhane. I'm not getting the full couplets here, but to sacrifice this life completely and totally, hand it over Just look for a moment. Just look that way up. Who's standing at your head side? It's the angel of death. This is the couplets of Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Ahmad Sahib. Sheikh Abdul Haq Muhaddis Delvi is in his last moments. Sakarat, and he's presented with water at that time. And then he denies it. He says, don't give me this water, because water is life. And I do not want to increase my life at this point in time. As quick as possible, I want to go and meet with my Allah. Allahu Akbar. You know, we're speaking about standing up at night there. One of the reasons why Umar radiallahu ta'ala wanted to stay in this world. A person came and he said to Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib that I can't wait for the dead of the night. My only reason for this is so that I can speak my secrets, my munajat, my talking and crying out in the dead of the night with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hazrat Wala is saying that Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib became tremendously pleased with this type of a hal and the statements of that particular person. We continue. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم ألا وإن لله أواني في أرضه. Behold, most definitely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there are utensils in His earth. وهي القلوب, and they are the hearts. فأحب الأواني إلى الله تعالى, the most beloved of these utensils in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are asfaha, the purest of them, wa aslabuha, the firmest of them, wa arakkuha. Now, the Sharih then goes on to make tashrih, and he says, asfaha, what's actually meant there? Asfaha, purest, the purest from sins. Aslabuha, meaning fit deen, the most firm in the matters of deen. Wa arakkuha, and the most compassionate, the softest, alal ikhwan, to fellow people. So, this particular hadith, you know, I was in Aligarh, and on one occasion, and Hazrat Abrahul Haq Sahib said to me to say a few words. So I took this particular hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and I quoted it and I started speaking on that. But the minute I quoted this hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, immediately he scram out, saying to his attendants and assistants there that tape record lao, bring that tape record, note this here, tape this here. He was delighted to listen to this particular hadith, which encompasses so much and speaks so much about the importance of this heart that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. When I went to Gujarat, I also quoted this particular hadith. You know, in Gujarat, the people have in their front rooms, in their the lounge, etc., where people enter into the house, they have these display cabinets in which they have this very pretty, attractive crockery, these bartans. So I quoted it to them because they can relate so much to it, because they are so passionate of that in their surroundings, in their urf, in their houses. This is what they keep. And the people who have these hotels and restaurants, and you yourself can even gauge by this here. Would you like to go, I mean, people even talk about this. Would you even like to go and sit in a restaurant or a hotel there, which the tables are dirty? Or more than that, the crockery then, the plates and the glasses and the cups then that they present to you, which you are going to eat in, if it has some marks on it, or if it is dirty, you would be disgusted. You will not even eat. You will reject the food. You will stand up and walk. If this is the case, and how meticulous you are about the utensils here, then what about this bartan and this utensil of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is our hearts that we have? So one hadith is so great, and so much of the deen has been mentioned in it, rather made so easy and simple for us. Now Maulana is going today. Hazrat Wala is referring to Maulana Iqbal Sahib of Zambia. And I think because it is because of him, Hazrat Wala is saying that I was inspired to speak about these topics today and even in the past days. MashaAllah, Maulana is doing such wonderful work, and he is so involved in the khidmat of deen, etc. Now let us make dua. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Allah Ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of benefiting from the Quran, the hadith, and the talks of the Buzurgan-e-Deen. Maulana is going also, Allah Ta'ala bless us all with His nur, His ma'rifat, His nisbat, His ta'alluq, and fill our hearts with this. And what is the gift of this type of majlis and gatherings is that we find, even one thing here is a great gift that we find in these gatherings. What is this khana pina? Ye chal raha hai. This is at all given, this is carrying on. Breakfast, the lunch, the supper, the tea, this is going on. However, this daulat here, this wealth here has become very scarce. Very, very scarce, is becoming extinct. This daulat is something which we have to treasure. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم.